Welcome to scrapbookserenity.blogspot.com. Today we are going to go over how to make the rosettes in the Goddess Love banner. And I am going to go ahead and show you what colors I chose because I didn't show you that before. So with the colors, we're just doing the rosettes today. So I had decided I wanted to use a pink and then it doesn't end up working out later on, so I take it out. This is the baked brown sugar, early espresso, and chocolate chip that I'm using. So with those three colors, I picked, quote, designer series paper. That's what Stampin' Up! Calls it. But pretty much it means pattern paper. So I picked pattern paper that matches those three colors. So it's really hard to see the stripes in my right hand, but I end up using stripes, and then I end up using this words. So the words is like the French thing, and then I use a map for one of my other colors, and you'll see when it all gets finished how it all looks. I might even throw in some pictures at the beginning of this video to kind of show you what we're working on. So the first one is chocolate chip, and then baked brown sugar, and then early espresso. I identified which of the following pieces I would be using for that. So chocolate chip, I used the stripes. Baked brown sugar, I used the map, and then the words is the early espresso. So I matched a color that was in that paper to one of the colors that I had selected. And now you're going to actually need to cut your paper. So it's really important that you make sure when you cut your paper that you have it oriented the way it needs to be oriented. You're going to need strips of paper that are 16 inches long by 2 inches wide. So in order to make sure that the stripes are done correctly, you need to cut them horizontally and then score them vertically. So right now I'm just showing you to cut them. You can actually get 6 strips out of one piece of paper, but because I'm only doing 3 rosettes, I only need 4 strips of paper. And then I'm going to cut that last one into 4-inch strips. So that takes my 12-inch strips, add 4 inches, that's the 16 inches that I need for my rosette. And I have to go ahead and cut it or I end up forgetting to do it later on. So once you cut it, then you're going to score it. You're going to score these strips at 1/4 inch all the way across, and you can use I'm using a Stewart Score Board. You can use any other scoring tool that you have. You can use your cutter even if you have one that does it as well. And then just score it 1/4 inch. Follow the black lines. It's easier so that way you don't have to think to yourself 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch. So you just want to go ahead and score all of these at 1/4 inch and do the same thing for the other. And this is why this takes the longest, because you are scoring all of these and you're scoring however many letters you have. So I have 8 letters, I'm making 8 rosettes. So it's really important that you plan this and do it first, and probably just in one day unless you're going to do it all in one sitting, because it is the longest process. Remember not to push too hard if you're using actual paper instead of cardstock. I ended up ripping a couple of mine later on. So then we're going to take you over and cut the map paper. So again, you want to kind of figure out how you want it. I wanted to make sure that the design showed through when I did the rosette. So I cut this technically opposite, so that way when I turned it to score it, it would be the design that I needed. And I even decided to use the other side that had the dark on it because I wanted to match the colors that I'm using. One of them is a little yellow, but then I end up cutting that yellow one, and so it's not too noticeable when I add it to the other pieces. If you're using something that's a true pattern, you'll want to cut your pieces accordingly so that way your pattern can be all the same. So just score it again, all at 1/4 inch. And when you're scoring your paper to make your rosette, it's just easier to do it this way. So you just want to make sure that you're scoring it at 1/4 inch. If you start on the light color, continue with the light color. There was a couple of them that I ended up doing like 2 or 3 in a row instead of skipping. So of course it made it a little harder to actually fold, which I will show you here in just a little bit. But I wanted to take you through every single process that I did for this, because I have found that a lot of people really don't show the entire process, and I wanted you to see the whole process. So hopefully you enjoy this of actually how to make the rosette. So same thing with my paper. I want to cut it horizontally so that way it ends up being scored vertically, and that way my words go out instead of go across. So cut my 4 strips and then cut my final one into 4s, which I don't do here. So again, I'm just going to score it at a 1/4 inch. So this may be repetitive, but it'll give you some time to kind of think about what you might want to do. And you can even take a Martha Stewart border punch, and punch out the edge of this at the bottom, and that would give you a nice, really kind of doily look to it. I did not do that because I was only going to show about a 1/4 to 1/2 inch on these. But if you're going to, not cover it up, it would be really pretty to go ahead and punch the edge of that, and then when you put it all together, you'll see that at the edge. So, I'm sorry you can't even see any of the score marks on there, but I also wanted to talk about how to put these together. One of the things that I use is a 1 3/8 punch to punch out the little circles that I use to hot glue everything together. And now we're going to start our folding process. It's important to start down on your first one, and then your little ones, or the ones that you're gluing, you're going to start up. So you're just going to fold back and forth all the way until it's finished, which is why this takes the longest. The ones that I had a little problems with is because I had too many score marks or got off on the scoreboard. So it's just down and up all the way. But you want to start down on this piece of paper, and then you want to start up on your next piece of paper, which I'll show you here in just a minute. And then that way they go together better, and you don't have to end up cutting any paper off or wasting any paper, or not realizing which one goes up and which one goes down. I like to use hot glue, especially for this process. The only downfall is it sticks really well, especially to paper, so you have to get it pretty exact the very first time. So you just fold this out, get it all folded. I had a little trouble with it. And then you go to your 4-inch piece and then fold it. And I like to squeeze them together really well. You can see your ups and downs and valleys. And so this one I start up, and then I complete the process, and I end up turning it around a lot. So you just weave it in and out, up and down, and then you go to glue it together. So I like to squeeze them really good. That gives them really nice lines. And then you're going to put hot glue on the bottom. So where we went up before on the 4-inch piece, that is where we're actually going to put the hot glue. And I had a lot of problems with my hot glue gun because I actually bought the wrong size hot glue to put in the glue gun. So I ended up having to do a lot of stuff to get the glue to come out. But, oops, sorry, and you can't even see any of that. You just put your hot glue on it and then attach it. And one thing I love about hot glue, don't burn yourself, but just take your fingernail and just scrape all that excess off. What I forgot to do was scrape all the excess off of the back too. So that way it'll fold the way that you need it to, and it won't have any problems. Alright, so there is my 16-inch strip, 2 inches wide, 16 inches long. I just squish it up again to make sure that it's all nice and pretty. And then we're going to glue the other end together. So again, you're going to start on the one that's down already, and then you're going to attach the other one. So here we go again. Add your glue, and then just attach that to the other edge. And scrape off any excess that you get with your fingernails. And then refold it to make sure that it folds correctly. And then you're going to repeat that process. So what I do is I like to use the little circles because I'm covering up the front and then I'm attaching it to something else. So I use those circles to actually hold the rosette together. And I have small hands, so it's sometimes hard to hold these in place because you got to squish everything together. And then take your hot glue gun, go around the center, because I'm not worried about what it looks like. This is where I had problems with the hot glue gun. And once you get all the hot glue on there, you're just going to stick that circle on the center, hold it for a second. Make sure not to burn yourself. I wasn't smart enough to buy one of the, low temp hot glue guns. Mine's just a regular cheapy $5 one from Hobby Lobby. So just add glue to the front, and this is the stripe paper. I don't know if you can tell, it kind of didn't pick up the colors. And just add that to the center. Again, you know, hold it. You might have to hold it for a second to make sure you don't lose anything. And there you go. And that is how you make rosettes. So I'm going to continue this process for the other different rosettes that we have, and I think I walked you through some of that as well. But it's I use the collusal to actually cut out for my letters. I'm going to show you how to do that. I end up using green paper, not this white paper, but I use the third one in, and I just cut my circle out. You can use framelits if you happen to have framelits. I don't, not in circles yet, so this is what I had. And that is going to go on top of your rosette. See how I was saying you're only seeing about, you know, 1/4 to 1/2 inch on your rosette? That is why. So it's really important that you go ahead and make all of your pieces and get that ready, and I'll see you back in the next video. Thank you for watching.